Okay, here we have some long-term real estate price cycles. This is about 60, 70 years. And we see that at every real estate top in my lifetime, the best time to buy was exactly 4.5 years later. In the fifth year, you buy in January. Prices typically peak in the summers, and they typically hit their lows in the winters. So we see that here from this graph here that we peaked in the summer of 2007, but our lows were the absolute low was 4.5 years later in the fifth year, January 2012. You can buy 4.5 years after the peak or 3.5 years after the peak. Those are very good times to buy. And we look at these long-term price cycles and we see that in inflationary decades, we had a maximum of a 19-year run-up. The savings and loan scandals on the East Coast would have brought this down to 16. So 16 to 19 is a high. And when the government is aggressively lowering rates, we tend to have foreclosures sold off faster and the economy picks up quicker. And we have a 12-year run-up. So 12 years is the absolute minimum. So if you add 12 to 2012, you get June of 2024, as you wouldn't want to sell before June of 2024. And if we look at the construction cycle, and we see we had 11 years of depressed construction because we had 11 years of foreclosure sales. We add 11 to 2027 and we get 2028 as an approximate market top. And this also explains why during the Corona crisis and why during the .com, we were extremely underbuilt after we sold off the foreclosures, and prices still rose even during recessions. And so here we have 2028 as an approximate market top. As we get closer to that, we can look at some more important cues like how long it takes to sell and the percent home ownership and the start of foreclosures, and if we have a down year, and that will more likely determine the top than just speculation, because we see here people that sold in the mid-70s and because their price had doubled and they were only paying a $110 mortgage, well, they ended up paying $1,000 in rent, and that was a big mistake. So you don't want to sell too soon as prices and rents are running up, because we're not at a top yet in 2022.